Welcome everybody that took time out of their evening to come here tonight for the first of three open house meetings for the Lookout Pass ski expansion. Tomorrow night we'll be at the Wallace Inn, 5 o'clock Idaho time.
Yes.
And Thursday night will be 5 o'clock at the Forest Supervisor's office there in Coeur d'Alene, and that's on Friday.
Yes.
And so we don't have anybody representing the Idaho Panhandle here tonight, but they will be at the two meetings over on the Idaho side. Just the proposed action, we have three alternatives. We have a proposed action, another alternative, and one of no action. Proposed action will consist of 15 new ski trails and about 91 acres of new 9 acres of bladed terrain. There would be 2 new lifts that would serve lifts 5 and 6, and they would upgrade one of the existing lifts from I think 2 chair to 4 chair. Am I right, Sue? And there'd be hoping to add about 130 parking spaces, and that would consist of 2 areas. It'd be on down the rail grade on the Idaho side. The other spot where parking would be enlarged would be off of the rail grade, there where you come into the parking lot. They're kind of adjacent to where the fuel tanks and that are there now, for those of you that are familiar with the setup that they have. And it was my understanding that area then would be kind of used for employee parking, and so to keep them from using spaces in the current parking lot and of course the expander. Looking at that, this would also include a 7,000 square foot maintenance shop, and that would be somewhere near where the fuel storage is now, in that general area. They'd have a restroom facility. That would be near the bottom of lift 5, which would be one of the new lifts, the new ski hill. Over here.
The one to the right is yeah, that one.
I can't see exactly. I'd be down in here. Would be
To the right. That's the right. That's the right. To the right.
Am I on the right one?
You got that's
Yeah, there we are. There's the restroom right here. And that would be a kind of a 2-vault, one of those prefab concrete, it might be log finish, but whatnot. It'd be one of those prefab, kind of like you'd see in campgrounds, that sort of thing. Let's see, what else we have? There'd be about 1.5 miles of temporary roads for the timber harvest and the lift construction, and those would be just temporary roads. And there'd be 2.8 miles of new construction or reconstructed roads, and those would be permanent roads that would be left in place for maintenance and operation of the ski facility. And there'd be 2.3 miles of road of decommissioning, so really not much net gain of any new roads. The difference between the proposed action and alternative 3, as I saw it, and Sue, you can add because you're more familiar with the document that you put together than I probably am, is that there would be a couple ski trails that would be dropped off of that alternative. What else would be different than that one?
Yeah. So we traded traditional ski trails for a larger area of grading to take care of or address some of those beetle kill trees near the top of the new lifts. So that's one of the main trade-offs. Another trade-off would be that rather than doing a more developed temporary roads, we would just be using skid trails, so a little bit less.
There'd be no construction of temporary
exactly, no
roads
construction,
in that alternative.
Yeah.
And trading some bladed terrain for regular ski trails.
Mm-hmm.
The ski trails are going to be in both alternatives would be 120 feet wide. I think there's one that's slated for
The main one that goes on the ridge line would be 150.
150 feet. There will be, in all of the proposals, both proposals, there would be access for snowmobiles to come and go up from the rail grade, but the one thing that there would not be in this is there'll be no snowmobile parking at the ski hill as we currently have a little bit.
Where's he gonna build the parking lot for the snowmobile?
What was that?
He's gonna eliminate snowmobiles up there, where's he gonna build a parking lot for the snowmobiles?
I
Half
think,
is already over, Mullen, we were put in for a RAC grant for an expansion of ours. The feeling right now is on the Idaho side is if he's gonna kick our snowmobilers out of here, he can pay for a spot to put us in. And I'm sure Montana has seen it that half is packed so bad that the standards and plows can't get in and out of lot. I know you've seen it.
no, on a good weekend.
We gotta have a medium here somewhere. I mean, we've already been over backwards for this ski hill with the last expansion. And I'm saying right now that this group, Idaho Snowmobile Group, our groomer and pretty much town of Mullen is against this expansion.
Beth, would you take a note of that
Oh,
since
yeah.
it's a rec thing, so
Yeah.
we can make sure we get that passed on, please? And I know the Forest Service, we as the Forest Service, we have looked at
I'm working with Ryan and all them.
recognizing that snowmobile parking is an issue.
I just wanted to,
And you'll write that down for us too, right? You'll give us a formal comment as well?
yes, it will.
Perfect.
Well, and that's what we need. We need to make sure we get questions and comments and that sort of thing, so.
Parking lot, might as well let Mark address the other night, we had a meeting on the Montana side about the snowmobile traffic going through the parking lot. We've tried, and like right now, I know there's not much snow, you guys aren't plowing that much anymore. We even take the groomer and have them do the side on the highway side, just a little bit, right? It's a hassle for us to go through the parking lot, it's a hassle for you guys, your skiers, your boarders, through safety wise, traffic pulling out and snowmobiles are going down.
Where would you put that, Brendan? Where would you?
Maybe it's on the highway side, so it'll be the north side of the parking lot.
Okay, if you could
Where
just
is that?
make
Where's that big
a
bank
snow
lot?
apron through there for the snowmobiles to come through.
And it wouldn't be that hard. Just to run a groomer over the top of what you already.
They're already
I realize
pushing
you
it.
can't do it during probably your busiest time of year, you're getting a bunch of snow, but during this time of year, it would be.
Get right onto the highway.
Where you're on, you're probably down the pavement up there, and I think you're coming up. Okay, that's a good comment. It really is.
Brought that up when we first started.
I remember the snowmobile club has brought that up a couple times, and even kind of the same thing on that Bonneville Power Road. So,
Yeah, that would be.
Coming out of Randolph.
I mean, the same issue there is that when that gets plowed, it's either icy or
Well, the
Bear.
groomer, either one of the state groomers can take care of it.
The other thing, Sue, maybe we could make sure for comments on this, when is the due date, a calendar due date, that people need to have their comments in to be included?
So it was officially published in the Federal Register on March 11th.
Okay?
I'm jumping ahead of one. So March 11th was officially registered, so it's 45 days from that, which I believe is April 25th. April 25th, I mean,
Calendar.
calendar days, yes.
April by close of business, April 25th?
Generally, it's by, 11:59 p.m.
Okay, so,
Or postmarked, so if it's
Postmarked.
postmarked, yes. So if you're submitting electronically through, the Forest Service website, it would need to be submitted, before midnight of that day. Otherwise, just needs to go out in the mail.
Because I know that's a question, and we might get calls at the office wanting to know when is the last day they can get comments in. So April 25th, postmarked or emailed before midnight.
Yes.
Or decision.
Or dropped off, yeah.
Okay? Denley?
Yeah, you said they were planning on putting up a shop down where the fuel pumps are. And this has been my pet peeve for going 20 years or so. To determine that state line, to get it back surveyed where it's supposed to be. If I-
Yeah, please come up, yeah. Beth, you read my...
And I know the Forest Service doesn't really care because the other forest manages it, but
Well, but Mineral County does.
this area, you have the boundary drawn down here for the state line, and this line right here is really where the boundary is supposed to be.
This line right here.
Yeah, this light line. There's about 13 acres. And the only way to get it, the boundary, to get the monuments back in is BLM has to do the survey. Mineral County did go through and do just a check survey to see if there is a legitimate right. See, Shoshone County came up with this as their assessment map. And that puts the line just about where the overlay, where the ramp is, where the off ramp and the on ramp comes. See where, but the true boundary is down the Idaho side. As you start down the pass, when the construction, you can see where the road changed. And that boundary is down here.
So would that put the current lodge all on
Well,
Mineral
they would
County side, or
No,
at least
not
part
the
of it?
lodge, but the rental, and then the new shop, and the house where they store the groomer right now.
Yes,
All
that would be
be-
Montana side.
And then if you're talking a new shop, that as well. Now Tim, I know Tim's working on it too, but this is the comment period. I think the Forest Service needs to take a little bit of buy-in on it too, to get that land back where it's supposed to be. And I think, you guys should be able to get a survey a lot easier than Mineral County can kind of get. Tim might feed you on how far he's gone too, but I just want everybody to be aware that there's about 13 acres or so in there that's, Shoshone County took it over in an assessment map. And partly because the Lowell Forest wasn't taking management, so they just drew this boundary of where the forests were going to take management. Well, Shoshone County used that as their new survey for assessment. So Shoshone County is getting everything on that side of the ski lift and the building. Tax base.
So Tim, do you have any other comments to share with the group on that?
Yes, I'm in the middle of the federal morass right now. I'm currently down in Cheyenne, Wyoming, trying to still facilitate with the Bureau of Land Management that this is going to get surveyed. We've had one federal legislature comment to the Bureau of Land Management. It's between two bureaus, the Bureau in Billings with their land management people, and the Bureau office in Boise between their Bureau office. Those two Bureau offices need to confer and agree that there should be something addressed on that state line. We've asked for the original maps for the 1904 survey. They gave us all of the computed points to where you get right to lookout from above and below, and you all of a sudden don't have that particular stretch of everything, of evidence that's there. The highway departments have always surveyed up to the historic line. The historic line was marked last summer right out in front of the lodge. The Idaho side surveyed it. They put Idaho on this side, Montana on this side, and that's approximately 800 yards from what the boundary is showing right now. It corresponds exactly with the 1904 survey. So the pin on the east, north, whatever you want to call it, side of the interstate is there. It's recognizable. the mid pin that used to stick up in the air according to the monument, 9 feet, is either on one side or the other side of the lodge. It's not clear what side it was on, but that pin has seemed to have disappeared over time. The pin on the hill is still there, and if you compute the points, it's not a straight line, but if you connect that one and that one and that one, then the corner of the lodge would be the approximate location of the boundary. So the rental shop, the groomer shed, all of that, everything down that's going to be in it. So that concerns me because the way I read the EA is that the permitting for stormwater runoff and that part of it would be over with the Idaho equivalent of Department of Quality, Environmental Quality, which they might change the name a little bit. I don't know what that.
It's the same in Idaho.
Is it still, huh?
It's the same in Idaho.
Okay, so that's where this was directed, is that they would have that stormwater permit and that part of it for, the parking lot and that maintenance shed down there would be a permitting system from Idaho. I truly think that system, that parking lot and that part of it is going to be in Montana, and you're not talking apple and apple when you talk about stormwater runoff and permitting for Montana versus Idaho.
I think it is currently permitted in Idaho too.
What's that?
I think it's currently all Idaho permits. The current permitting for like the fuel storage,
Right.
pretty sure.
It is. And they have about the sketchiest little bit of information on the septic system, which really I've asked for that. I think what even concerns me greater is that I don't know, other than running to South Idaho tomorrow, go to the health district over there. I'm not sure they know where the water source is, but we've got water.
So your comment really then, Tim, is that the permitting for those should be through Montana's DEQ? Am I meeting you correctly?
Denley's extremely first with me because I didn't, I'm not getting this done. I just wanted to come into a meeting and say, guess what? The state line is right here. And having the state line right here means that these permitting systems in Montana, I don't care where the Shoshone district is, but the permitting of these things is going to be on the Montana side.
Okay, I read you. I just wanted to make sure I was clear.
Getting that reestablished is going to be, sorry to say, for Mineral County, it's going to be a significant tax consequence. But even that lodge, it will make a difference to Mineral County. I mean, not the groomer shed and the rental shop, if that even comes back in.
I understand the importance of Mineral County, why it's important to, we have such a limited tax base.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring it up in this, so that, even on the next meetings, when you get down to Idaho, and Tim is working, and he's working through the steps, and of course, government is slower in dealing with BLM and everything else, but, yeah, Tim is working what he needs to do, but I just keep pushing to make sure everybody is aware that there is that problem, and it needs to be worked out. And Tim, like I say, Tim is trying to do what he can.
I think what is just underlying so disconcerting about this is that when I found out the actions that the county took, the feds jumped on my case like big time. They said, you can't do this, 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 and this. And they even threatened that they're... If that's the case, and implying that you cannot move an established boundary between states, it is like the highest ultimate thing that you can attack on like that. Show me a survey that changed that boundary out there to correspond with that. I dare anybody to find me a survey that said, you've been along here and changed that. But I guess there's a dichotomy here is that in some respects, they don't say that that's the boundary between Montana and Idaho. They say that's the boundary between Shoshone and Lolo,
But the way they have it drawn on this map, it does show, and that's why I'm saying, especially tonight, the Forest Service is saying that, but it's not, that little line with the jog in it just matches up with Shoshone's assessment.
I met with Shoshone County might be going on to the third year ago, and I couldn't, the commissioners were busy that day, but I met with Jerry White and stuff like that, and they really put a hold on it. They said, you demonstrate that that's in Mineral County, we'll live with it. Please give us some hard evidence that it's that way.
Please take.
No, there's some ramifications there too.
There's a lot of ramifications. I'm also on the fire district, and he didn't pay taxes to the fire district, he expects service.
So for emergency on.
And you can put the fire out in the hall.
And then just a comment, and maybe Sue can weigh in on this from a NEPA standpoint, since you're your firm and you're doing the NEPA, Sue, is the comments that come in from this that we're asking that you're submitting here tonight and that you submit in writing now. Sue, the comments that have been made here verbally in these meetings, do you want them also sent in written?
Please.
A written
yes.
comment?
Please provide a written comment. So.
Even though you're taking notes?
Yes.
Okay.
I just think it gives you better standing. If you had any concerns as the process moves forward, I think a written comment is the best approach. Obviously, we took notes, but I always encourage written comments. So.
And then they become part of the actual
Correct.
record,
Yes.
so it does have a little more standing.
Yes.
And then, again, I'm not a NEPA person, so you might have to educate me here, but when the Forest Service makes a decision, you know, they may not just necessarily look at the proposed action that they're proposing. They're going to look at the comments received out of through this draft EIS comment period, and probably will end up adjusting or tweaking those to involve some of the public comments that we hear.
Absolutely. So when we develop the final EIS, a good portion of it will have all the comments that have been provided, what response the Forest Service has to those comments, any changes that they've made to the document to respond to those comments. And yet, part of the reason we have multiple alternatives we're considering is to give the Forest Service the flexibility to choose which parts and pieces of the alternatives lead to the best potential decision. So it's definitely not set in stone. It's never set in stone until the final decision and record of decision is made. So.
And then, just so people understand the process, and again, I'm not a NEPA person, so you might have to explain this, Sue, is once the decisions or the comments are all taken, will the public have any other opportunity to comment?
So we will develop a final EIS, and the Forest Service will issue a preliminary or draft record of decision. And at that point, they will enter into a pre-decisional objection period. I think it's 45 days. Yes.
You said you can issue a final EIS?
So yeah, we'll issue a final EIS,
And the Forest Service is going to do...
and along with the draft record of decision, which will
It's gonna be
say,
draft.
it'll be draft, yeah, it'll be draft, it'll say this is the one, this is the alternative that we are proposing to select. At that point, it'll enter into a 45-day objection period, and in which case, if you provided comments, you have to have provided comments, you have to have standing, you can then provide comments again at that point if you feel like your previous comments have not been addressed.
You have to provide a comment during this period.
Yes.
To have standing
Yes, so you do
to
have to
object.
Yes, so you do have to have previously commented. And that's why I encourage written comments because,
Then you're a matter
Yes.
of record.
yes.
But if you commented before,
And scoping as well, yes. So scoping also
but
counts.
does that allow you to have standing?
It does, yes.
Mhm.
So any
Either way.
Yeah, either way.
For the commission?
So, I just wanted to make sure people know that.
Absolutely, yeah. So
How
there,
the process works.
so there is another opportunity. The others don't say anything.
So the website right now shows the comments that have come in today.
Yes.
Is that going to be a new format for the ones from here on? And they just get added to that?
So there's Forest Service has their own comment database, which this is one project within that database. So as people continue to either respond electronically or provide comments in other ways, we will add those letters, add those comments to that database, and those will show up in the reading room. So you can see that your comments have been received. If you don't see it, feel free to ping us and say, why is my comment not there yet? The one thing the database does, this is probably more information you need to know, but I think it's helpful for the public to know, is it will look through letters, and if it looks for keywords, things like nest or tribal or lawsuit, it looks for those kinds of keywords, and if it sees it, it will flag it as, a letter that needs to be reviewed, and it will not release it to the reading room until internally you've gone in with the letter, made sure there's nothing in there that, might release sensitive information and cleared it. So that might be the only way there'd be a lag, is if somehow it got flagged and we just need to clear it first. So, but I say that because sometimes people don't realize that that's why their letter may not be showing up.
If you were to say something like, if someone had a comment, I saw a goshawk nest at this spot,
It would flag it.
they would flag it so that
Yeah.
they could.
And there have been cases where people provided really detailed, not in this case, but other cases where say they provided really detailed map to, in case they go mushroom hunting. Very sensitive, right? That's their. It flagged it, and we rightly may not want to release that information because we're trying to protect certain sensitive species or habitat.
So does anybody else have any specific questions? Danley?
Well, I have another, and it pertains to the parking lot. And a little bit in relation to the snowmobiles, but also the cross-country skiers. I'm not with the highway department anymore, but it's the same concern, and it costs taxpayers. When they plow out the parking lot, they push it over to the side, right down onto the Idaho off-ramp. And there are times we've had to take the snowblower and we blow it right back up in the parking lot, right back up in the driveway at night, because we have to have traffic, room for traffic and room to blow snow. And then they keep plowing it down. And I think there should be maybe like a guardrail or a Jersey rail along that parking lot, so they cannot push it down.
Big ass snow.
So they can't encroach on the highway department. And I think you have to take into account your parking area and expand it way more than you think. And then what happens, you have cross-country skiers that park on the other side of the freeway, and they block part of those ramps, and then you have snowmobilers that don't have a place to go anymore. So that puts more pressure down at Taft as well, kind of like what Bruce was saying. So
Or
I think,
people trying to tuck in there on the north side too?
yeah.
They're on the FAA side.
And then you can't get around there with a snowplow, even though I'm not doing it. It's a concern, and it's a traffic hazard for people trying to get in and out, people trying to cross-country ski or whatever. So I think your parking area, even if you think you're expanding it, you need to expand it even more, and you have to make sure they have a place to get rid of their snow rather than down on the highway right away.
And on the Idaho side, I worked for ITD for 32 years, so I dealt with it as well as Denver. I'm retired from there, but on the Idaho side, the same thing. And then by expanding this parking lot to the west, where they're going, they're going to have the same situation going out over that where the big corner is now where it ends.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the road really starts narrowing up and where we use our snowblower all the time.
Okay.
So they're going to have to, if they're going to extend it back onto our trails back in toward that lift on the Idaho side, another concern is it's going to go down on the freeway also there.
Because you're looking right down.
You're right on top of the road there.
That's good point.
And it didn't seem to stop him the last 20 years.
Beth, were you able to capture those for me, please? Thank you. Any others? Ken?
Well, I can see the parking problem up there, that
I would think before very long, they're gonna have to go to some sort of a shuttle bus to bring people in, whether it's from Mullen or Taft or Saltese, and leave their cars somewhere else.
Smart.
Because you're just limited to what you can expand to there.
When it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
And talking about Taft being filled up, well, if they parked a little bit more careful there, they could triple their parking area. But I see it every time we go up there, that their cars are all over the place, straight in, sideways, there's no organization. So they gotta figure that one out.
It's a good comment.
You've seen them pull in this way in a trailer, he needs another trailer space behind him, and if they should parallel park, it doesn't work. So they got a diagonal park, and then they got all the street to load and unload.
What we did on the Mullen lot above the fish hatcheries, we put 2 signs, an in road and an out road, and then we just have them, like you're saying, diagonal park, so they can get the big trailers in, pull straight out, go out the out road. They can come in and just line up. We've had up to 60 in about a 2-acre lot.
Well, Lookout pays a couple of ways to make them park proper at the area to conserve all the space.
Well, up to now, there at Taft, you know, we haven't had to organize our parking. People have been able to pull in, however, but maybe in the future, we're gonna have to maybe delineate or at least put a parking.
Well,
plan.
it's already Taft, as everybody around has seen, has already had the state of Montana move their shed further to the west of the parking lot so they could be closer to the ramp and away from the big lot. Because as a plow person myself, I don't know how many times I've had to go over to Taft and load up with sand or salt out of Taft, and you can't get in or out with a truck. I know what these guys' feet were, I mean, it was terrible. And the top ramps are the same way. Where you come off of the freeway ramp, turning into the stop sign and all that on the on-off ramps, you got cross-country skiers try to dog hole back into where the old Horseshoe Bend Road goes down. But then you got snowmobilers parked right next to them.
A couple times I know we put no parking signs all the way around. Just because
on the ramp.
you couldn't get in now.
And I've been guilty of all of the above.
But, well, that's that's the alternative we brought up with the first meeting was the parking area. And where Idaho snowmobilers are coming in and getting frustrated is we're going to have to run close to a mile of ice or dirt through that parking lot if it goes with the expansion the way it is.
Without getting a snow apron or something like that,
Right.
Brad was
I
suggesting.
think something would be extremely nice.
Okay.
And I mean, I think our safety.
I think it is, and because little kids and that start running through there.
People going out the rig, you got skiers, snowboarders walking across, and half the time they're listening to headphones nowadays too, and they already hear you coming.
Well, and they're
And
not
you're-
watching because some of them don't even think about snowmobiles
cluster.
coming through there.
And it should be around. We've been talking about this since
Point,
it started.
point well taken, and I'm glad to see that brought up because that is hazardous. Any other particular comments? I mean, these are excellent comments, so I really appreciate you folks, everybody coming and
I
let's continue.
can't believe, this is my personal feeling, that we could even consider expanding with all the things that is coming up negative for parking, water runoff. I would think it'd be time to say this is enough, he's big enough, he's already putting stress on the state highways, all the parking lots have been stressed. My personal feeling is enough is enough. I mean, big enough. It's supposedly a family ski hill, let's keep it that way.
Comment well taken. I know from, all of the ski hills that the Forest Service deals with, whether it's Snow Bowl or Bridger Bowl or all of those, they have to be competitive with one another
Oh, I
to stay
see.
competitive. Amenities that you add. So one of the things that we do point out in the draft EIS is that Lookout Pass has increased their skier visits, I think, from like 45,000 to they're up to 60,000 or so. People are using that ski hill and enjoying it.
But even on a busy day, when they have an event or even just a beautiful sunshiny day, there's times that you cannot get off the freeway. You actually have to back down one of the ramps to get back on the road, just from the skiers, not the snowmobiles or the truckers. That's how much overusage is got.
Yeah, parking is an issue. Question.
I'd like to comment to Bruce's, but on the other side of the fence a little bit. This is the thing of the motorized versus the non-motorized.
Exactly.
I'm not a skier anymore, but I've been skied all my life. I just haven't done it in the last 5 years. So now I'm a motorhead by label, motorized. So I can go one-sided and say, well, no, I want it all locked up for me. But on the other hand, much of my family and many of my friends are skiers. And I see absolutely no reason that they shouldn't have the expansion and the extra terrain that they need in order to enjoy their sport. I think the problem is somewhere along the line, and you can, the thing I guess it gets under my craw a little bit, which is on your side, Bruce. When you're reading through the comments from the initial section, basically the concerns about snowmobile passage through that parking lot were poo-pooed by the Forest Service. They were shoved under the rug, a broom was took to it, and said, this is a need that doesn't need to be addressed.
Exactly right.
And that upsets me. But I think there should be a way that we can all coexist because we're not having to share that much real estate. Yeah, that's the motorized user needs a path.
The first
And 90%
meeting,
of it is safety issue.
the first meeting, there was 2 groomer associations together, 2 snowmobile clubs together out of 2 different states. And we expressed this whole thing. And I agree with Brooke, it was completely,
Oh, you can read the response to the comments in that. I've read the whole thing, front to back, and it's
and it
poo-poo.
was.
And I think that is wrong. I don't know if there weren't enough comments made, that it didn't pull it, that the trail didn't pull enough weight, but it's an issue, and it should be addressed. And it's not motorized versus non-motorized, we should all be able to get along together. And I think Lookout does deserve to be expanded. I think the users are there. Just gotta figure it out.
Very good, Brooke, thank you.
Carol, the Historical Society, I don't think they're representing you tonight necessarily.
Yeah, I don't see anybody on the,
But in case, just for my own knowledge, and I try to assist and pay attention to that, if you were going to take this and point to a place where the comments about the Mullen Road were, it's in this document?
It is, yeah. If you go to the cultural, this is section 32, page 49, that's kind of the main assessment of impacts to a variety of cultural zones, including the Mullen Road. But there's a bunch of background, but it's really under 3.2, 4.2. Actually, on page 59, that first paragraph is really where it addresses effects to the Mullen Road, and the EIS does disclose that it's a significant adverse effect to the.
And I thought we would have some folks here from our Historical Society tonight because the Mullen Road was a huge concern to them, and that was one of the reasons that I asked Erica Caruzas, our forest archaeologist and for the West Zone, which worked with the Historical Society, worked with Lookout Recreation. And Erica, maybe you could give a little short brief on what the resource is for people that don't know and how it was affected and some of the mitigation that you at least are working with SHPO on. Please.
Yeah, so the Mullen Road, I'm sure most of us know, was built 1863, and the expansion.
Why don't you come up here so because people in the back, if you're back to it's a little bit hard to hear.
So the Mullen Road, I think we all know the history of the Mullen Road, so I'll just going to be. So the effects that we found to the Mullen Road, as Carol said, was an adverse effect. What we decided that for any part of the expansion to happen, that they at least had to cross the Mullen Road at some point. In the original proposal, it was to completely go over the Mullen Road. We went out with the Historical Society, and in working with Phil, we were able to remove that trail, the ski trail that was to go over the Mullen Road, and now we just cross it at the top and then once at the bottom.
And that was the Dizzy Lizzy run.
Yeah.
That was moved.
Yeah, so it was the run Dizzy Izzy.
Dizzy Izzy or whatever.
Dizzy Lizzy, I think, yes.
Dizzy Lizzy.
Where is the Mullen Road? Is it on Mullen Pass?
No.
No.
No, I know where it is.
And we will not disclose it in the EIS because it's protected.
Yeah. Point I'm bringing up, the curriculum of the free ski school could highlight that Mullen Road historically with over 300 kids that get in that lesson program each winter. This would perpetuate the history of the Mullen Road as it originated, because the educational system is not teaching history very well anymore. And this would be a real benefit to that Mullen Road. And on the initial expansion, which was Chair 2, they purposely put the lift down where it was to avoid the Mullen Road. So it can be a real plus. That history can be taught and then carried on. And you can put kiosks in there. When they get their lesson, go across, that can be part of it. And you can put in a trail, a Forest Service kind of hiking trail, and highlight it. Because right now, that road's hidden. And down on the Idaho side of it, they advertise the Murray Goldfields. It really makes a lot of sense, don't it? It's time to step forward and do something for that Mullen Road historically, and do it through the free ski school.
And we think, we're thinking along those lines, and Erica will tell you a few things that we're looking at exactly toward what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, excellent.
Thank you, and that's exactly what we wanted to do. So we knew if the expansion was to happen, they would have to cross somewhere. So we recognized that a portion of the Mullen Road, 120 feet on the upper side, was probably going to get obliterated by the trail coming over it. As you know, with ski runs, as they come through, that road that's there is going to be gone. But what we can do to...
It won't be gone.
Well, it'll be
Kind of filmy for the slope.
the character of it will change, right?
The character
Yes.
will change. I mean, in this area, we can see wagon ruts. We have some really nice profiles that SWCA put together and gave us, what we can really see along the Mullen Road. So we recognize that we're going to have an adverse effect to this 120 feet along the Mullen Road. And to mitigate that, we want those education tools to come out. And so we said that that we would like to see information kiosks up front. We would like it to have on their website. They talk about the building itself, the lodge itself on their website. There's some great education opportunities that we can have. But we also built in how we're gonna protect the rest of the Mullen Road or if the proposed ski trail is built. And so, because we know this 120 feet is gonna have we'll have the trees will be removed and the vegetation removed for the ski trail. But then down below, we're making sure that we can still protect
But
that.
you do not disturb the terra firma. That stays the same. You're flush cutting your stumps, the original ground stays the same.
Right.
So you have not disturbed that original ground.
I think with runoff, we can have some disturbance.
Not if you leave the vegetation that grows on it there, it shouldn't, especially with the stumps. It should stay. You're dealing with a fairly level saddle.
Oh, at the saddle. So where the ski run, where we see the ski run crossing over the Mullen Road is further down the hill.
Okay.
So
But
there's
you're not
this
dealing with much slope there.
at the saddle.
No, on the lower part where you cross back. There shouldn't be that much slope gradient to be very concerned about erosion, especially if you do not disturb, do not uproot your stumps. Just flush cut them, let the huckleberry bush grow because it will.
Yeah.
And you should hold that vegetation without a problem. And when you're operating, you're on 3 feet of snow minimum, probably in that zone before you open. It's compacted, it stays. It's a very controlled runoff due to the compaction. It actually betters the situation.
Just like you said, we don't want them to scrape off the Mullen Road if they don't.
They don't need to.
They don't need to, but we want to do what we can to protect the remaining segment and the education that we can, feel or look at would have to provide is great, that we can provide that.
What about, I disagree with that. The last lift they put in on Tier 2, I live at the fish hatchery in Mullen. Since that lift has been in,
You're talking about this one right here? The three? This one right here? Okay.
since that lift has been in, our south fork of the Coeur d'Alene Dam has been major silted in. I mean, the dam is all but filled in with silt. And that lift's been there 4 years, 5 now. But we have seen major impact on the runoff. And I saw it when I was working on the freeway. Major impact. So, I agree. Flush cut stumps, leave huckleberry brush, but there's also got to be other alternatives. Whether it be putting in grass, damming, something's got to be done. Because there is, just the other side of that Old Mullen Road, Bitter Creek feeds the fish hatchery, and that is our main fish water, and it's my secondary backup for my household water.
Okay, Bruce, could you make sure Beth gets your name?
I'll do a card.
Take the card, because we want to make sure we.
This was all brought up the first meeting. I mean, you can go out there and you look in the summer when you come down I-90 and look at the cut banks on the freeway where all this water's coming down and just in that area. I mean, it's outrageous.
We have seen ski runs be able to be put in, and with, I think we've all seen ski runs that have had some drastically increased sediment coming down and silted in streams.
Look at the face of the main hill. I mean, it was rock. Now it's not. It can be done.
So we provided some examples where we have seen great water barriers for helping with erosion, and we provided that information of other ski runs that have been successful in not having such erosion. And I submitted it just because I didn't want the erosion through the Mullen Road.
I just thought, I know we've been having nothing but a headache with the silt up there. And when we have a high water event, it's just, the 3-letter people in Shoshone County are all over us. Because when we open that dam up, they track that all the way back up. 'Cause we've got Mother Heckler right here that's got to monitor DEQ, EPA. I mean, they track right where it comes from. So, you know, it's something that it has to start up on the top, and shit rolls down the hill.
Deborah?
Well, I'm here because of the Historical Society and my concern for the Mullen Road.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that.
Right, and we had a meeting a couple weeks ago, a major discussion. And so now with the change in the 2 crossings of the Old Mullen Road, you're saying that is going to protect it, but if there's no disturbance from those 2 crossings, then you could have stuck with the original plan to run the ski run totally on top of the road, right? Now you're saying there's essentially no change in the cross-section of the road.
I said that we propose that they create a water diversion to make sure that we keep the remaining road, the integrity still there.
Right.
So when the proposed trail is built, that we are placing water diversions to prevent water from coming down through the Mullen Road.
Because you believe there'll be increased runoff?
There could be a possible increased runoff. I didn't say that there will be, I said that if there's a possible. So I'm looking at the possible foreseeable effects, and runoff could come down the Mullen Road, and I believe if we put up a water diversion at the upper location where the trail crosses, I think if we get a water diversion there, we can protect the rest of the Mullen Road. So that's why we're working with us and the state on ways that we can protect this.
It's an extra protection measure, and we're hoping, you know, with the vegetation and the stumps that are left there, that we'll actually have very little runoff. And
So that's the main reason you moved the road from being
going right
top
down
of, right down it
The
with
ski trail.
the ski run, and we mitigated that by putting the 2 crossings, and the main reason was the concern for the runoff. It wasn't going to change. We're still not going to change
Well, if
the profile of the road.
If the ski trail was over the road, it would still change the character.
Yes, and I think
By
that's,
removing the trees and.
yeah.
So this will not reduce the character as much.
Yeah, because a lot of what we're looking at is, will this change what it feels like to walk the Mullen Road, what its character like, the experience is like, and it's very different walking on a narrow wagon path with, you know, the tree canopy versus, you know, 120-foot, you know, cleared ski trail. It changes that experience, and that itself is considered a significant impact. Irregardless of potential impacts to actual soil erosion or whatnot. And so by avoiding going straight down that trail, we could maintain more of the existing Mullen Road, its feeling, its canopy,
its character.
And just have those 2 crossings where we could locate them.
It's too bad you don't have a map, shows where that road is and where your ski runs are, so that people can see it.
And that's why I was looking for that. But
Then it would take the confusion
I
out.
know there's a group of us in the Historical Society that want it totally protected. And, you know, the county's 75 miles long approximately, and that road went from the east to the west through here. There's only 3 or 4 intact segments left. And the state, I believe it was Department of Highways, did a really nice job of interpreting the Mullen Road there at the Point of Rocks west of Alberton. And that's really a cool trail. Forest Service, unbeknownst to me in Merrill County, hasn't done a lot of interpretive along the road. I'd like to see that happen. And this is an ideal section for that to happen in association with everything that's going on there. And, but like I said, there was a group of us in the Historical Society meeting that favored total protection to the Mullen Road. You know, we weren't even agreeable to the 2 crossings now. We wanted it to stay intact. And there was another group that felt that, you know, they could buy in or agree to the way it's proposed now with the 2 crossings. So we didn't have total agreement on that.
Well, and it's still possible that in the decision, the Forest Service could choose to not cross it. They don't, I mean, that's still out there. Because right now we've analyzed kind of the full deal, the full effects, but they could always choose to do less. So they could do the 2-crossing approach, or they could not affect it. That will be the decision maker, the Panhandle's Forest Supervisor's decision.
Thank you, Deborah, for your comments. Those were great comments, and I'm glad to hear something from the Historical Society, because I know that's this project is a concern for the County Historical Society. So thank you for coming and
Well, I might add, yeah, there was a group of us that went on that hike, and we hiked the whole Mullen Road with Erica and others that day, and the consulting firm. And all of those folks that were out there that day are the ones that want to see it protected. So I guess they know enough about it being on the ground, that group, but to see it protected.
Well, I appreciate you sharing those comments tonight, because that's something, I mean, all of these comments that have been brought up are very valid points, and it's something that I want to make sure that at least we on the low can think about in the comments and suggestions that you've made, and certainly be talking to Tim Garcia, our forest supervisor, as well as, because we're going to be coordinating with Mary Farnsworth and Ryan Foote and Dan Scaife, the ranger and deputy ranger from the Panhandle, as we go forward with this project. So it's important for me to hear the comments that I'm hearing here tonight.
And it was hard for our group to evaluate the proposal because there wasn't a map showing the road and showing the runs, but that was purposeful, right? You're saying we did not want to do that?
Yes, we are not allowed to release that to the public.
And, yeah, so it's like you're having a hard time, appreciating what the impact might be.
So, Erica, you're the archaeologist for it. Can that information be given to the Historical Society, or can it not?
Yeah, I think it starts going down a slippery road of when we start to release information.
Okay.
I think that's the general response of protecting all historical and archaeological sites.
Maybe
Could they contact Shippo directly and ask? I think Shippo. I think we can work together. I'll have to see what's in the document again.
So does Shippo get that information?
Yes.
The Historical Society was known to write that to Shippo.
Yes, Shippo has the information, they have our whole deal with that.
And I think when I was asking Shippo what information is released, and
So does everybody know what SHPO is? That's the State Historic Preservation Office. And Erica has had to send all of her information, or mitigation and whatnot has been sent into SHPO for their review.
And they're still in review of it right now, where we sent in our draft, all the memorandum of agreement of what the information that we provided in our report to the state. And then we flesh out memorandum of agreement. Unfortunately, they're just busy right now. They are allowed 30 days for a response, and right now they're at 2 weeks. And so we have another 2 weeks that we can response to me in the draft MOA, the memorandum of agreement. And I just want to get back to your first question. You asked, what can the state provide to you? And they'll provide information up to a township, to the section and range. In that section, they'll give you a 1/4 of possibly of where a site is located. Because I was asking, what information do they provide if someone else would ask for another project? And so the sites are protected. and they're regulated by the state.
Well, of course, having been there, I know where it is. I'm just trying to understand what the two areas now that are gonna cross it, the impact of that.
Right.
And you're saying essentially it's gonna remove vegetation to where it might cause erosion down the trail, is it, as the.
The ski, the ski trail can increase erosion.
Correct.
That has that possibility, as we've seen. And so, when we were working within the NEPA analysis and this report to the state, we worked on moving the trail location so that, as you recall where that tree was that you bored, we made sure to avoid that large tree that was there when Mullen was there. And so it's roughly in that area, but uphill from where that tree was. If that helps.
Right, oh, yeah. So ski runs, all those ski runs up there, all they've ever done is remove vegetation. They've never had to go out and do any, I don't know, banking of runs.
Some of them they have, right?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, some of the runs they do.
You know, put
Yeah.
moguls in or whatever.
Not
No.
moguls.
That's somebody that would know right there.
Let me introduce myself. I'm Van Scott.
He'll
Spent
manage.
25 years professionally in the ski industry, building ski areas, tramways, managing them. You do not destroy the ground vegetation when you clear a run if you don't bulldoze it. You sever the trees. All the floral and the brush and everything stay. You can have logging methods which pick up the timber and get it out of there without even traveling on the ground if necessary. And it's quite simple. That vegetation stays, but the tree's gone. That's basically the way it is. And what it ends up doing is the brush grows, it grows a pretty good huckleberry crop in a lot of situations. And then more browse for the elk and the deer. You see them on the runs a lot more. But basically that's what's done. And now in Colorado, in Vail, they took dozers and went right in and they just cut their runs. They made them like freeways. But around here in the Northwest, they don't do it. It's just a different ballgame. So the ground vegetation, the only thing that's being disturbed is the trees being severed. The rest still grows. It doesn't get removed. But straw bottles can put in, you know, if you're dealing with some ground where you think you might have erosion, there's several different barriers that are out there on the market that you can put in place. One is rolled straw bottles, and you can put those in or whatever. And it works. But at the slope gradient that's all the way up to that saddle, it's very easy to manage. It's not something that's real steep. Yeah, very easy to do.
Thank you, Van.
I think the one thing we needed to clarify earlier, the original trail layout had the two crossings, plus it was going down the Dizzy Lizzy Trail. So I think maybe that's one thing we didn't very clearly state when we started this conversation. So we had the crossings, we've always had the crossings, plus it was going down the trail. We were looking at ways to reduce impacts to the Mullen Road. That's when we shifted the one trail to at least take out effects, again, character, really, maybe not, erosion per se, but to take out effects, maintain that pristine nature of the trail that, would have, potentially been affected by the Dizzy Lizzy. So we still had the two crossings because there really wasn't a way to avoid those, but we did at least minimize the effects from the other ski trails.
Go ahead. The expanded road system now is not coming across at the moment.
No.
So just to appease everybody, why could getting map just highlighted where the trails crosses over?
I'm not allowed to provide that. That's only legally allowed to release that information. So
I think with the idea that you figure there'll be minimum impacts to the Mullen Road, that you can just stress that, like Van says, the straw bottles could be put in, or you could put coconut mat or seed mats in any area, just if you have a little heavy-handed person on the machinery, you know, you might need to do that. And just make sure that's written into the plan.
And that's where the MOA that the Forest Service is working on right now really comes into play, because that's where they will establish all the additional protection features that they want to put in place to protect the trail where it is being used.
And then I think, in addition to that, you know, we're hoping that there won't be like Van says, but in case there is, then we have mitigation measures already in place, and then will be written as part of this in the maintenance and operation plan, is that we're going to have, you know, we'll be part of the mitigation, and part of the monitoring will be, I think it was going to be once a year, there'll be some inspection, and that would be with a Forest Service person as well as Phil doing some monitoring too, and so we're not going to just do something and walk away from it. It will be monitored by both Forest Service and Lookout Recreation to, if we see something, then we want to get on it quickly and not let it continue. So we have both mitigation and monitoring will be just there to protect.
That's still being worked out in MOA, so they don't think it's been finalized yet. So
It's not finalized. That's the part I'm still waiting with SHPO. They have 2 more weeks for comment on what we want with our MOA. I have a draft of it, but it still is.
Well, you know, probably some of that's going to be actually go to the Idaho Panhandle. I'm just thinking, Tim, just because they're going to be the administrator of that permit.
But the monitoring is probably going to be over the hill.
It could be over the hill, but I'm, you know, Erica, since that's our resource, and a lot of it is on the Montana side of that particular one, I'm pretty sure that Erica's going to keep an eye on it.
So
And then we'd be working with the Idaho Panhandle, who administers the permit, and with Lookout Recreation to make sure that that is maintained.
the MOA or the special use permit for the ski.
I don't believe that those are public documents. I could find that out easy for you, but I don't believe that they are public documents.
The final mitigation, what they're going to be able to do.
our expectation is that the MOA is finalized, that we would incorporate that information into the final EIS. Because right now we just basically say that it's being developed, we're working on identifying what those features will be, and assuming that it's signed here fairly, finalized fairly shortly, that we would add that to this document so that you could see in writing what that information was.
Yeah, I don't think that would be a secret. I mean, because Erica is going to be the one as our archaeologist for the Mullen Road that's going to be helping develop those. So that portion, there's nothing confidential there that we wouldn't release in that.
The information in the MOA, most of it is in what was submitted as part of the NEPA document. And we expanded a little bit more, I would say, on just a little bit more wordsmithing, but it's the same information that we provided for the NEPA document.
So most of it is public at this time.
Yeah.
This document G2 reports.
No, so it's funny. This one's great because it's the special use permit is administered by Idaho. And it has land authorized in Idaho and Montana. And each state manages their own cultural sites. And so the state of Montana manages the cultural sites that are within Montana. And because the special use permit is administered by Idaho, that has use on the Lolo National Forest, that this memorandum of agreement is between is really between the well, it's really between the Idaho Panhandle and the state of Montana. But Lolo wants to be, we are saying that we are going to be monitoring the mitigation and watching the Mullen Road so we don't see any other adverse effect to the Mullen Road. So if the ski trail is built, we want to make sure that there's no other adverse effect, mostly thinking of spring runoff if something should come down that way. So that's what we're watching. Because we already know that, when the ski trail is built, the vegetation is cut, but it still changes that character of walking down to what it is right now.
So did we answer your question, Tim, or?
Yeah, and if you want to give us all the information, we're gonna, we knew I was coming, we're gonna really all over the place.
Well, and I'll be there too. I mean, I'll talk to commissioners as well.
Yeah.
Comments from the Mineral County Historical Society, just to go on record.
Okay.
One was the name St. Regis Pass was changed at some time in the past. And that original name of that pass was Sohan Pass. And I don't know if it would be appropriate through this process to get that name changed back, but I know there's some people here that could maybe influence some of that, but.
I think that would be outside of the scope of this.
Well, they're gonna make their comments anyways.
And that's a
Yeah.
good comment, and I would be willing to work with the Historical Society on that, but that would be outside of the scope of what lookout recreation would be required to do.
Right, and then the other one, I believe, in someplace in the draft document, the Mullen Road was referred to as trail, and they
It's
wanted
road,
to
yes.
make sure that it was always referred to as the Mullen Road, which is what it officially is.
Correct, thank you.
But if somebody was reviewing the wording on the kiosks, it's that, certainly put wording in there that formerly or originally known as the SoFi Pass.
Sohan's Pass,
Sohan's
yeah.
Pass.
Yeah.
You could really accomplish what I would think you could accomplish it.
That certainly could be part of the interpretation and should be. Okay, any other questions or comments? Again, great comments, a variety of comments here that we received on different areas. And I just want to introduce Beth Kennedy, also from the district. I think most people know Beth, but maybe not everybody does. Beth is our recreation specialist on the Superior and Plains District, so works with all of the different clubs, backcountry skiers, the dog sledders, any type of recreation that would be up there in that area. Okay, well, I know anything, Sue, from you or anybody?
No, please feel free to stay, just don't want to chat, we're here.